This is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Smitty. Take a lap.
Yeah, buddies. We are here doing it live. Javonte needed a song. Herbert's got a song. Javonte needed a song. To the moon, to Pluto. Look, we've got a lot to talk about. We have Carson Wentz. We have Desean Watson. We've got Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams, the Green Bay running backs. What's next? What is the next domino to fall? We don't know. And so many people are going to say, Smitty, Desean Watson's going to be fine. He's going to be fine. But yet, we don't know that. Friday is a very, very important day because we find out if Desean Watson's going to play in 2022 or maybe ever again. He is headed to court. We'll go over that in a second. Let's kick it off with the Carson Wentz news. Everybody knows by now Carson Wentz traded to the Denver. Carson Wentz. Wilson traded to God. I got it all mixed up. Carson Wentz has been Washington football team. No, the Commanders. Wait, no, the Presidents. Wentz is now commander. Wentz is now commanding the Commanders, which we all kind of like. I think we like the fact that there's somebody there and they've resolved their quarterback situation a little bit, but will Wentz stay healthy? Will he be a viable starter all year long? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Carson Wentz walking into 2022. I think he's got an arm. I think he's not as bad as a lot of people suggest, but the problem is he's not reliable. So in the end, will he be there? In the end, will he be the starter come week 10? I don't know that I could rely on Carson Wentz. He's very injury prone. He makes horrible mistakes. The team's certainly not going to win like playoff games with Carson Wentz. That's for sure. This Washington football team, had they got Russell Wilson, or if they traded for Desean Watson, they would be a multiple win playoff team. Multiple wins. Easy. And they would be a very, very good team. But when you have a player like Carson Wentz commanding your offense, you're not winning even one playoff game if you even make the playoffs. I think the team, the defense, the run game, Carson Wentz could potentially move the football down the field if he stayed healthy. Could the Washington football team in their division win their division or get a wild card spot in the conference? Yeah, I mean they could. It's possible. Wentz is not bad. He's just not reliable. So it's tough to watch the Washington Commanders not get the quarterback they need to make Scary Terry McLaurin a top 10 lock at wide receiver. But I do like Scary Terry more now than I did last year. Hit the like button on your way in the door. That's the Carson Wentz news. Desean Watson heads to court. He's doing both cases, the civil cases and the criminal grand jury situation on Friday. And he tried to postpone or move the grand jury Friday deposition or the hearing where he goes in front of the grand jury and he pleads the fifth. Now, pleading the fifth will not be a good look for him because he's not defending himself whatsoever in front of the grand jury when they decide whether criminal charges will be brought forward or they'll keep going down the criminal path. There are 10 complaints, 10 of the 20 plus individuals that are in the civil situation going after Desean Watson in the civil court, 10 of them are filing criminal complaints and moving forward with the criminal stuff. If Desean Watson gets caught up in a criminal situation, he can be put on the commissioner exempt list. We don't know exactly at what point that can be triggered because it was put into effect that the commissioner and the NFL cannot put anyone on the commissioner exempt list unless they're in a criminal situation instead of a civil. So he could have 100,000 civil claims and they can't technically put him on the commissioner exempt list. So this criminal part is very key and critical to whether he plays or doesn't play. It also is going to play a huge part on whether a team trades with him. I highly doubt, although Russell Wilson going to Denver proved to be that anything can happen, right, in this free agency, NFL free agency frenzy that we're going through right now. So we can't rule out anything. Never say never, never say absolute, never say 100%. Not right now. Not in today's NFL climate, okay? But Watson, it's hard to imagine any team trading for him before Friday because you're going to find out a whole bunch of information. Now, if Friday comes rolling and good news is presented and Watson is clear of going down a criminal avenue for now, that doesn't mean that the other 10 or 11 or 12 people of the 22 or even somebody that hasn't even come forward yet, doesn't mean they can't file a criminal complaint against him. This going in front of the grand jury is not going to take away the ability for another person to come forward and do it. It's not a class action. That's what a class action would do, is kind of encompass everything, take care of it once. No one could come in for the same crime or accusation and say, hey, I want some of that. That's what that's what the class action is all about. This one is a consolidated case where one attorney's handling all the processes together, trying to do like one lump sum ruling, but all 20 of the civil cases have to agree to settle, or what good is it? You know, if I believe it was 4 of them would not settle most recently, and now 10 are going to criminal down the criminal avenue. Let's say he gets out of it. Let's say Watson gets out of it. And I want to say gets out of it like he gets away. Like I'm not trying to presume innocent or guilty labels here. But let's say he everything's fine. He comes away Friday. He's fine. Now teams are going to poke around and try and acquire this guy. I still believe what we haven't talked about yet, and what will probably happen is Desean Watson. Teams will trade for him and offer maybe some deals that aren't super attractive to the Houston Texans, like conditional picks, meaning if I don't even know what legal stuff they could write into the conditional piece of it, but maybe if he clears everything and he doesn't have any missed games because of this and taken off the field through the exempt list or anything, and he's not, put on if he's not suspended by the league, then the deal's as is, right? But if a team takes Desean Watson, let's say it's the Carolina Panthers, they take Desean Watson. If he ends up getting suspended, then they get a pick back, or they get a pick, or there's some kind of conditional pick. There might be something like that. We don't know how they can even write these things up, but I have a feeling there'll be conditional picks involved to help protect the team acquiring Desean Watson. So we'll have to see how possible that is and how detailed they can get and on what level they can get that in. But that sounds like something that is going to be potentially in the cards. But the next domino to fall could be this man right here, Jameis Winston, potentially before Desean Watson goes anywhere. It could be Jimmy G. I highly doubt that, because Jimmy G's coming off the shoulder surgery, which was awfully timed. Could it be a team trading for Tyler Huntley? I hope so. I want Tyler Huntley starting for a Pittsburgh Steelers team, a Carolina Panther team. That would be great. Seattle would be okay, but Seattle's rebuilding and blowing things up, so I don't know if I want Huntley set up for failure. We got Jimmy G. We got Trubisky probably going to the New York Jets, maybe, or New York Giants. Dable probably wants 2 options. He wants Danny Dimes and Trubisky. Then he's going to put them together and make a quarterback controversy, and then pick his best man and try and shape his best man to resemble the best pretend version of the previous quarterbacks that he has been successfully able to mold and sculpt. And it's probably not going to happen. Trubisky, maybe Chicago ruined him or didn't allow him to be what he could be. I don't know. Like, I almost want to give Trubisky a shot, even though I don't feel like the talent is necessarily there. I do feel like we all kind of thought at one point, not all of us, but a lot of us, maybe there's something there. Like, I never once was like, Trubisky's going to be the next top 5. Never felt that way about him. But I do feel like there was a time, it's hard to reflect back on, because the Bears literally ruined the man for every one of us. And when we picture him, we picture a debacle. But I think if we're objective and we say, was there a time? I kind of think maybe there was where we may have had an open mind about Trubisky, but is it too late? Can Dable mold him, sculpt him, turn him into a beast? I don't know. But I do know that Dable probably wants Trubisky and Danny Dimes to try and see if he can figure out a best option. And that's why Trubisky might land there. And I think the only reason he would go there versus in other places, he'd be kind of urged, you're going to potentially start or you're going to start. I don't know what would make him not want to go to the other teams. You got Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Indy, Detroit, New Orleans, Carolina, Seattle, all potential QB-hungry teams. There's a lot of places Trubisky could go. And I don't know, is he the second? So you got Watson, who's not really a free agent. So is he between Winston and Jimmy G's not a free agent? Winston and Trubisky are the two best top quarterback free agents, it feels like. Fitzpatrick is an option, but they're talking a lot of news reports as if Fitzpatrick won't necessarily, come back yet, but he'll be on the ready if a team needs him. Minshew, Tyrod Taylor, Bridgewater, Jordan Love could be acquired maybe. The two rookies. I only really like Malik Willis. The three rookies, really, there's 4 rookie quarterbacks, but Malik Willis is the only one I love. Mike White, would a team try and get Mike White? Huntley, Mariota. Mariota is not somebody I'm super high on, but he's definitely going to be, maybe he gets a starting job because they're literally 1, 2, 3, 4. I got on the board. Let me show you. This is what we were working up earlier. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams that need a quarterback. The Giants are an 8th team that is going to take one of these quarterbacks, we think, and Trubisky might be one of them. We're thinking, what if Willis went to Seattle because they drafted him? I think he should go to Pittsburgh. Watson, let's say Watson goes to Carolina. Winston goes back to New Orleans. What do we do here? I mean, there's so many different ways this could go. It's really, really tough to gauge what's up. James was first in the building. Matt was second. Mealy was third. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of this right now. It's tough breaking it down because you predict one thing wrong, then the rest of your predictions are going to all be wrong. So it's not an easy task. Like if someone says, "Hey, you predicted all that wrong," it's really hard, mathematically impossible to predict all this because of what one thing does to another. And you take a look at something like this, and this causes a wrinkle in everything. If it's true, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reports that the Steelers are not interested in signing Desean Watson. And that's a little disappointing. It's understandable, but it's disappointing because this is probably the best option left. And what happened for Javonte, who we have on the screen, we're going to talk about in a minute. What happened to Javonte getting security with Russell Wilson versus a quarterback rotation, it's going to do numbers. It's going to make the whole difference. It's going to potentially put him as the number 2 overall running back in 2022. I think he could climb that high. So with Najee Harris, if he gets Jimmy G, I don't know. Jimmy G, I'm not excited about at all. If he lands Trubisky, if Mariota goes to Pittsburgh, if Minshew lands in Pitt, maybe I like Minshew. I probably say in terms of Najee Harris and his progress, I'd rather have Winston go to Pittsburgh out of all the remaining options. If Watson is no longer an option for Pittsburgh, according to this report, then I suppose that if this is off the table, Minshew, no, Huntley first, but I don't think that's on the table either. But Huntley first. Mike White second, which I don't think is on the table. And then, especially, it's on this table, but Huntley, Mike White. Oh, no, let me back up. Huntley, Malik Willis, Mike White, or any of that order, really. Those are my top 3. Winston. This is if Watson's off the table for Pittsburgh. Like that Minshew. So I would say Malik Willis, Huntley, Mike White, Winston, Minshew for Pittsburgh. And those are a lot of options. And if one gets taken off the table, the whole thing gets just jostled around because you got things like this where one team doesn't want one of them, and then it's like they might go for a different quarterback that you wouldn't predict because the one they really wanted is gone, and then it's like that's why it can be such a mess. But Watson is potentially the next domino to fall, although it is only Wednesday, and we have another day tomorrow and all night tonight. Huntley would have to be traded for, like I said, Wesley. But he would be an amazing grab. I don't know why people won't trade for this guy. Huntley would be a phenomenal addition to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he probably only cost a third or a fourth rounder. Not all these guys on here are free agents, like I said. You got rookies on here. Huntley's restricted rights free agent. He's not even a restricted free agent. He's a restricted rights free agent, which means that the Baltimore Ravens offered the lowest tender or the lowest salary and automatically lock them in. A lot of these guys aren't all in the same category of availability, if we should say it like that. So disappointing that Watson's not an option for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Disappointing that the Seattle Seahawks, who now have the number number 8 or number 9 overall pick. What is it, 9? I think it's 9. The NFL draft order is right here. And the pick that was acquired was that number 9 pick from Denver. So Seattle now has that number 9 pick. It's disappointing that Pittsburgh is not in a position down at number 20 to get Malik Willis. They will have to trade up. And by Seattle being now at number 9, I think they got to trade above 9. And Carolina at 6, if Carolina doesn't have Jimmy G or Watson or some other quarterback when the NFL draft rolls around, they might be a good target to trade up to, or you got to get above them if they don't have a quarterback on roster, because Carolina would take Malik Willis, I think, at that number 6 overall pick. Giants probably won't if they've got Trubisky. If they don't have Trubisky and they have Daniel Jones only, maybe Dable would take a quarterback. Maybe he would. I don't know. I don't know if he'd take Malik Willis, though. But it's tough to say. Houston won't take a quarterback. The Jets at 4 won't take a quarterback. The Jaguars, obviously, at 1 will not take a quarterback. But the Detroit Lions at number 2 could throw a monkey wrench into everything, because the Detroit Lions could take a quarterback at that number 2 overall pick. So, frankly, if you want a quarterback, the only way to be absolutely certain is to trade up to the 1.2 NFL draft selection to ensure you can get your guy. And if your guy's Malik Willis, then you can trade up and get your guy. Hit the thumbs up button, says Jeb. Appreciate you, Jeb. Appreciate you. So that's that. Watson will know Friday whether he's ever playing football again, maybe. But we'll at least know whether he's playing football in 2022, I think, by the news on Friday. Now, might we be misled on what level of decisioning they'll have during this grand jury hearing, to the point where it's like we'll reconvene on this detail 4 weeks from today? Like, who are we joking here? You know what I mean? Like, that could easily happen. This is court. So they could show up. They asked for another hearing date because they didn't want this to conflict with the current civil date, but maybe the judge denied it. I don't know if the civil date was set after the criminal to try and, like, I could see this attorney doing that. I don't know if he did. I'm just guessing. But, like, did he set the civil stuff on the same date to then move that one, or so? I don't know, because the judge, they said no, I'm not moving the criminal date. So maybe it was set before. But he goes to court Friday. His attorney has instructed him to only plead the 5th, which is going to leave him literally no defense, right? He's just walking in and I plead the 5th. I plead the 5th. I plead the 5th, which won't bode well for him defending himself and getting out of a situation. Therefore, he's reliant upon the complaints of the 10 individuals bringing the criminal cases against Desean Watson. And if they have a case at all, I would assume even one of them is legitimate, they move forward. They're not going to throw out one person's criminal case because it's not a class action because of the other 9. I suppose, I'm not 100%, and we'll get maybe Tony the Tiger on here, but if one of them has enough substantial evidence to move forward, then I imagine that it's all the same. Like more cases is more likely for him to be in some trouble when it goes criminal. Because criminal is different than civil. Civil is about settling. Criminal is different. So if 9 or 10 cases go forward instead of 1, I imagine you're looking at a higher likelihood of being in some serious trouble, because you have to prove 10 things were all false. Whereas if it's 1, maybe it falls apart. Maybe there's a person not telling the entire truth or whatever. So there's a greater chance of this going bad with 10 cases that are going potentially criminal. But when you think about it from this perspective, the grand jury is going to look at it. They only have to have, I believe there's 9 jurors, right? I think only 6 of them have to agree that it needs to go forward. It's not something that needs to be unanimous. So whereas in another trial it's unanimous guilty or innocent, or unanimous guilty or the individual goes free. This is different because this is determining whether the case should move forward. So it doesn't need a majority, or it needs a majority. It doesn't need a unanimous. So it's gonna be tough. And I'm not an attorney, and I can't give legal advice. I can't give legal analysis. This is all my interpretation and opinion and guesswork. So based on what I've heard. So that's where I'm at on this, and that's what I know about it. We'll know Friday, and we'll be able to, I think, make some determinations at that point. Russell Wilson traded to the Denver Broncos, vaulting the Javonte. I like that. Vaulting to the moon. Javonte Williams to the moon. That vaults this man so high. So excited about Javonte's season. So thrilled to be a part of the Javonte Williams movement. So much so that I did a little number at the top of the show. Yeah, maybe it wasn't my best work, but it was a real solid attempt to dedicate this show to Javonte Williams. And Russell Wilson being under center in Denver is going to open the door to Javonte, to Javonte Williams becoming an absolute top 5 running back monster in the NFL. He already looks the part. He's already a league-leading tackle-breaking machine, even though he got part-time work in 2021. I mean, it's crazy. Albert O, I mean, there's nothing there yet. I mean, do I think Wesley, he could be potentially something you look at? Sure, but like there's no king of anything with Albert O yet. Albert O is a winner, but we got to see what Albert O can bring to the table, bro. The tight end for the Denver Broncos, who now is the starting tight end in Denver since Fant was traded away in the deal that involved acquiring Russell Wilson. But, he's okay. But I wouldn't be holding... I mean, he hasn't shown signs of just exploding or being some monster. So it feels a lot like, I don't know, Irv Smith or Hayden Hurst. Everybody's so excited about these two guys, and they literally had nothing to show for to warrant the excitement. You can't just get excited about a guy because he's a starter, and there was nothing on film that looked like phenomenal to me. But I'll go back and look, and maybe I changed my mind. Look, Wesley, there was a time where a guy said, hey, what do you think of Freiermuth's shoulder, I think is what he said. I go, Freiermuth? What do I think of Freiermuth? I don't think anything of Freiermuth. And I changed my tune real quickly on Freiermuth when I saw him play in NFL games and not just in college. Things change real quickly when a job is available. Prince Albert, that's better, John. That's better than King. I don't want a part of Gibby, says Axe. I don't blame you. Gibby's going to be risky. Gibson in 2022, he doesn't have the resume of a starting running back, like at all. Like he had a good rookie year, sure. But like in college, he carried the ball 30 times, 31, 32 times. It was in the 30s. He caught 30-something receptions. He literally had 60 total touches in college. He wasn't a starting wide. I mean, you could say he started at wide receiver. Sure. How many games? I honestly, off the top of my head, don't even know. But did he have starter numbers? 30 receptions? 30 college receptions? 30 college rushes? This is Gibson. He has no track record, and it was concerning when he came in. But he had such a good rookie year. We all said, forget the trend of that or the historical data that says you don't really have a resume. How can we trust you to be a long-term resilient running back at the NFL level? A running back's different. A running back endures a beating that literally ends their career in like a 3 to 4 year window being a running back is no joke. You can't just walk in because you have talent and be a long-term running back. So Gibson's got a lot of risk. He's so talented. It depends where his ADP is, whether he's worth the risk or not, but it's tough. 54 people in here, 29 likes for Smitty, working hard for us. Yes, hit that thumb up button if you can. Appreciate you. So Wilson, Jerry Judy to the moon. Javonte Williams to the moon. Cortland Sutton, he's vaulted up. He's Javolted, but we don't know where we're going to rank him. I personally have Jerry Judy over Sutton. I have KJ Hamler, the third wide receiver on the Denver Broncos roster, or you could say the fourth. Some people say Patrick's the third. I've got KJ Hamler as the dark horse of the entire rookie wide receiver stable in Denver. Like, I have Judy as the top guy. I have Judy as a potential top 10 wide receiver in 2022. Top 5 route runner, gets a top 5 to 7 NFL quarterback. Like, fantasy-wise, a little different. You know, maybe 6 or 7 or whatever. I think he could be 6 or 7 in fantasy. But top 5-ish quarterback in the NFL, top 5 route runner. What do you think's going to happen? Like, do we have to connect the dots here? If Jerry Judy stays healthy and is a top 5 route runner in the NFL, who's never had a good quarterback, who now gets an elite quarterback in the NFL, what does all this tell us? Jerry Judy's probably poised for a breakout Javonte Javonte Williams type moon season. Just straight to the moon. Everybody's going to the moon. It's going to occupy the entire Denver Bronco roster before we're done with it. So, real excited about Jerry Judy, but I'm still very excited about KJ Hamler. I still very much believe KJ Hamler could be something really special. He's so quick and such a tough player to contain if he gets out in open space because of his speed. I really like KJ Hamler. Keep an eye on him. Make sure he's not available in dynasty leagues for whatever reason. But Russell Wilson's special. Russell Wilson's got a lot of time left. This is not a 1 or 2 year left kind of guy. Watson to the Steelers Friday. I've been told, JP, you've been told wrong, because this report has already come out from the Pittsburgh Gazette just a little bit ago. I'd say like the last hour. It says Pittsburgh Gazette. I mean, this could be wrong, but I highly doubt there's a deal done Friday. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are not interested in signing Desean Watson. Maybe they're not right now until Friday's over. Maybe it's taken out of context. I don't know, JP, but this is not boding well for that. Just to let you know. And I was the last live stream earlier today was vying for it too. So I was pretty bummed when I saw that report. We don't know what's true. Smoke season can go a bunch of different directions. It could mean that a report that's saying something like that could be smoke, because they don't want to up his value. Like, who knows? It could be somebody's words taken out of context. But for right now, I think it's safer to assume that Pittsburgh's not a great option right now because of that report, but always keep an open mind in smoke season. Media, nobody wants Jimmy. Yeah, please stop with the Jimmy G. Nobody wants Jimmy. That's why there's no talk about him getting traded. Some team's gonna get tricked into it. I hope it's not Pittsburgh. I hope. Smitty, that guy is an old head. He said that Fitzpatrick was bad. Oh, the Gazette guy? Yeah, I hope he's wrong. The Gazette's, I'm not going to say, but let's just say maybe JP's more on to what's going on. I don't know. Watson to Philly. They got picks. Yeah, but where's Hurts going to go? Like, then Hurts has to go somewhere, and I would love that. I would love Watson in Philly in a sense. I don't like it for Watson, to be honest. I think Watson would do well there, I suppose. And I want Devontae Smith to get a quarterback that the team trusts. But for whatever reason, these Eagles do not trust or want to believe in Jalen Hurts. So let's get Jalen Hurts somewhere where he can do well. Let's get Jalen Hurts somewhere where he's believed in and loved and appreciated, and he can deliver the football the way I think Jalen Hurts could learn to deliver the football. I'm sick and tired of this Philadelphia Eagles team continuously doubting Jalen Hurts and not giving him a chance. And I'm sick and tired of people saying that Jalen Hurts is garbage. He's got horrible accuracy. You know what? Try living in that world in Philly and see how good you do, because they've been doubting this kid the entire way. He started 2 magnificent games in 2020, weeks, I think 15 and 16 or 14 and 15. Comes in the next game, the third game, has a bad first half or whatever. They bench him. They bench him after 2 amazing games. I believe it was like 2 back-to-back 300-yard games, and one of them was like 4 TDs. And they bench him in the third game when he struggles a little bit. And so they get rid of Doug Peterson, who's a nightmare, and who knows what he's going to do in Jacksonville with that running back by committee thinking that he has. I really do hope that ETN overcomes that, because he's such a good receiving back. And I think maybe Trevor Lawrence will have something to say about who he wants on the field. And ETN's such an amazing pass catcher that maybe in a running back by committee, he stays on the field. And maybe this is the one place where maybe Doug Peterson's kryptonite for running backs is running back by committee guarantee, because he's guaranteed to run him a running back by committee almost anywhere. Maybe Jacksonville will be the one place where he can't. I don't know. So if Hurts is the backup and Watson goes to Philly, and they really do want to replace Hurts, maybe they can trade Hurts to Indy. Hurts in Indy? Hurts in Pittsburgh? Can you imagine a double trade, a double? You get Watson going over to Philly, and you get Hurts going over to Pittsburgh. I would be ecstatic. Carolina, yeah. Seattle, please no. Tampa, no thanks. I don't care. Godwin's coming back from an ACL tear. I'm not a fan of the Tampa Bay situation at all. Like that's a team falling apart. Pittsburgh, Indy, no. Detroit. You know, Detroit could turn things around quicker than people think. It's because they don't have a quarterback. They've got Swift. They've got St. Brown. You know, they've got momentum from last year and did some pretty decent things considering. Like, Detroit could be a sneaky place, I suppose. But I'd rather have them go to Indy. Let's look at this together. I'd rather have them go to Indy, Pittsburgh, Jalen Hurts we're talking about. These 2 places would be fire. Or Arizona. I would trade Kyla Murray for him right now. And you guys might laugh at that. I know a lot of people are going to be like, you're crazy. I'm not talking about fantasy football talent right now. I'm talking about the Cardinals winning games in the toxic environment that Kyla Murray's creating. Self-made dark cloud over the entire team right now and the entire organization. Kyla Murray is just a head case right now. And that's the problem, Matt, is that I don't know that Kingsbury would trade him. But we could probably get more back in return, and then our team would be better, because honestly, Jalen Hurts is a player that I really, really like, and I think he gets no respect whatsoever. People talk about his inaccuracy when he hasn't been trusted or enabled to get better, and he's been looking over his shoulder his entire career. And I just, it doesn't matter. Kyler Murray can be as good as you want, Noah, but the bottom line is he's toxic. Like, from a fantasy perspective, he's a top 5 to 6, 7 quarterback. Although I think he's going to struggle in fantasy this year because he's creating a toxic environment. Do you know how hard it would be for any of you to go to work tomorrow if you created the kind of environment that Kyler Murray's created for himself? It would be miserable. You would not perform well. And sometimes you can't look at, okay, he's ultra talented, we can't get rid of him. You got to say to yourself, is this fixable? Is it manageable? Are we at a point of no return? You just extend Kingsbury and Steve Keim, the GM and the head coach, and then you do that right in the middle of telling Kyler no. Now he watches Aaron Rodgers get 150 to 200 million, probably going to be 140 to 150 guaranteed, whatever it ends up being. It's just, it's Kyler's going to lose it. And Kyler Murray, as much as someone might want to make fun of Jalen Hurts for Kyler Murray, Kyla Murray was drafted into the MLB, told them he was going to go get ice, and he never came back. Okay? He abandoned the MLB, assured them that he would not go play football. And what does he do? He comes to the NFL. Comes to the NFL, plays football. Who's to say whether it's successful or not? I know there's a lot of people in here that say he's not going to the MLB. Stop it. I'm not saying he's going to succeed and get to where he wants to get. That is a different conversation. That's very different. I'm saying that this man wants to go to the MLB. This man wants to go. Hurts only had rookie Devontae Smith and Rager, who is the worst wide receiver in the league. Remember when Rager got drafted over Justin Jefferson by the Philadelphia Eagles? The Vikings were sitting there waiting, going, man, we're going to lose. The Eagles are taking a wide receiver. We're going to lose Justin Jefferson. Oh, my God, the best wide receiver in the draft class is what the Vikings are thinking. Top wide receiver on their board. They're on pins and needles. And the Eagles go to the podium and say, we are selecting Jalen Rager. And the Vikings literally crapped in their pants. And they're like, oh my, and they laughed. There's like video footage of something where a guy's literally laughing. We got Justin Jefferson. We got him. Without Kyler, the Cards win 4 games. Kenny, no one's debating that. But you're also speaking about Kyler, and I understand where you guys are coming from, but I'm in Arizona, and I'm telling you how the feeling here is. You're speaking about Kyler last year. What's Kyler going to do this year? What's Kyler going to look like this year in this toxic environment? Now, if he walks it back, he starts leading, I'm going to change my tune because there's new information. But currently, this man's walking 180 degrees, turned around, and is walking in the other direction. And he's getting further and further away from the team and being a team player, being a leader, and even making us feel like he's going to show up. Like, there is a real legitimate shot that this man walks away from football. This guy might walk away from football. Even if there's no baseball playing right now, even if he doesn't make it into the MLB, it's a pipe dream. I don't think he'll make it. I don't think he'll get a bag or get the money he thinks he's going to get. But this kid is literally walking in the other direction right now, and his teammates don't feel comfortable with his leadership. He doesn't motivate anybody. He refused to go back onto the field to snap the ball with his teammates during the playoff loss and called the Cardinals out, saying that we embarrassed him and we set him up for failure. You tell me if that's the quarterback you want under center because he's talented, because he's got exciting top 5 to 6 athleticism and talent to run around and look amazing and have a lot of fantasy points. From a football perspective, Kyler Murray's not a leader. Kyler Murray's not a quarterback that you want to go to war with. So I understand where everybody's coming from, but I don't think people are separating fantasy from NFL player because he's 0% a leader. He's leading that locker room in 0%. The team doesn't feel like he literally puts his AirPods in and sits in his locker and doesn't talk to anybody. Like, so you tell me how you're going to create a winning environment that way. And when it's only getting worse, from the point we're talking about, everybody's suggesting like things like, oh, how were they before Kyler Murray showed up? That's a completely irrelevant conversation. It's a good question. It's a good topic. I'm not saying other people won't ask it. I'm glad whoever said that because that's what someone's going to say. But think about it. What happened when the Cardinals were winning? None of it was happening. I mean, slowly but surely he's isolating himself, and it was a problem. But Kyler Murray's unraveling happened when he got hurt. Hopkins went down. He started getting a bad attitude, even worse, and he started going in the opposite direction. From the point when we started losing till now, we've gone in a horrible direction. Kyler Murray's gone in a horrible direction. You can't talk about the past and say, what about when he did this? That's in the past. He's not doing that right now. Right now, what we have for Kyler Murray is a guy that is a problem. He's toxic in the locker room. Smitty, who's an improvement on Kyler at the moment? That's the problem. And I've talked about that over and over. you can't trade Kyler unless you can upgrade Kyler, or you can upgrade some total Kyler. Like if you were to, let's say, trade Kyler Murray for Chase Young, okay? Like obviously not going to happen now, but I'm saying you trade him for Chase Young. You trade him for a defensive piece, and then you make a trade for a Tyler Huntley. Like that's the kind of thing that the Cardinals should be looking at doing. Going and getting Desean Watson and giving up the 23 overall pick to entice the Texans to do it, and getting Desean Watson. If, in fact, on Friday we know he can come over. 39 likes and 82 in here. Please punch the thumbs up button. Appreciate it. You guys rock. You guys make the show. So maybe we trade Kyla Murray in a first rounder for Desean Watson if everything looks like it could be in the clear on Friday. That would be one move. Going after, let's look at the list. So Watson would be one. Huntley would be another. And I suppose draft pick, you could take a look at that and try and say, hey, how good is Malik Willis? Rookie quarterbacks can come along very quickly. How confident are we that we can reel Kyler back in a year he'd be where we want him to be to give him the extension? Otherwise, you're just inching closer to, okay, you're paying him big money. Eventually, do you want to really lock him down? You don't want to lose him if you don't have an option, and it's hard to upgrade Kyler Murray. But at the same time, if we feel like he can't lead the locker room, if you're a coach, are you just going to let somebody walk all over you? At what point do you say, look, he's such a good talent. He's very athletic. He's the guy we drafted. He's my guy. He's Kingsbury's guy. But like, at what point do you let him disrespect and continue to disrespect and disrespect? That's not coaching. Like, from a football perspective, you have to look at those things, and you can't just think about, what kind of fantasy stats he's going to produce. So I'm talking about it from a team aspect. Do they need to get rid of him, which is going to affect fantasy football? But we can't just talk about fantasy. We have to talk about football, because football will determine whether this is going to fit and work and how long this team can stay together. So from a football perspective, Kyler Murray's becoming too big of a problem to see it working out 3 years from now. So why not start looking at different options? Similar to what the Seattle Seahawks, I guess, did, but Wilson was proven a lot more than Kyler is. So, like, would I have tried to work that out differently? I would have. But maybe we don't know some things behind the scenes that were unrepairable. And from a management standpoint, who knows what those things could have led to. But for me, Kyler Murray, I could change my tune. I've said this before, warning everybody, so that if it happens, I want everyone to know why it could happen if it does. If Kyler Murray changes his attitude. Kyler Murray put the Cardinals back on his Instagram, social media. That's a baby step, I suppose, but we don't know if that was agent-driven. The agents, like, do this now, and he just did it. Like, that's a step, I guess. If he shows leadership, if he shows that he's willing to play out his contract, his fourth year, and potentially be open to playing his fifth year without complaint, I bet you we extend him next year. And I bet you I'm more in line with liking where we're going with Kyler and the idea of him maybe progressing. But he's got to make the change. If he doesn't turn around from that 180 degree and he's walking the other way, how on earth can I change my mind? If he turns around and says, you know what, you want a leader, I'm going to be a leader, then I'm excited. I start getting excited. It doesn't mean I can't change my mind. Doesn't mean I won't change my mind. But as it stands right now, dude's just getting worse and worse and worse. Okay, enough about Kyler Murray. Russell Wilson, Javonte to the moon. Can't wait for Judy season. Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Is the deal even out yet? The deal was supposed to be a $200 million 4-year deal, 153 million guaranteed. Rodgers said no. That's a false report. I am returning to Green Bay. That is correct. I signed. I'm in Green Bay. Excited to be back in Green Bay, he said. But what is not correct are the numbers, because nothing's been worked on totally yet or finalized, because he wants to make a team-friendly deal to account for the free agent signings and building the team up so it can win. That's a good move on Aaron Rodgers' part. If Aaron Rodgers was just about the money, he wouldn't be doing that. So people ripping on Aaron Rodgers saying he's all about money. It's all about the bag. He's been teasing everybody the whole time. He's been dangling the carrot. Not true. And we don't even know if he was wanting to go to Denver more than we know, because Denver reported that the Aaron Rodgers decision had nothing to do with the Russell Wilson situation. So Russell Wilson was already lined up and in line, and then that wasn't an avenue for Aaron Rodgers any longer, and that maybe made him go back in the direction of saying, okay, it's influencing me more to stay in Green Bay. We won't really know. We may never know, or maybe we hear something later. But definitely the word is that the Denver Broncos were going to make this trade no matter what. Like, it was in line. They'd lined it up. It's ready to go. So, therefore, Aaron Rodgers couldn't go to Denver. Adams back to the moon. Adams is now a top 1 to 4 wide receiver again. Some might have Kupp and Jefferson and Chase ahead of him still and put him 4. Worried about injuries, things like that. And a lot of people, I'd say the majority of people, have Adams number 1. Terry says 73 people in here and only 47 thumbs up. Guys, if you could please pulverize the like button and try and, as best you can, match the number of viewers with the likes. It will help the channel out. It'll help your man Smitty and the channel grow. So Rodgers is turning Adams back into everybody's top 1 to 4 wide receiver. You can have him 1. No one's going to get mad at you if you have Adams 1 or Adams 4. Actually, the Adams believers will get mad at you if you don't have him 1. But I won't get mad at you. You can have him anywhere between 1 and 4. You could have him 5 if you had Hill 4, but I personally, Adams is top 1 to 4 to me. And in Dynasty, we need to take Adams more seriously. Okay, because he still has another 2 years left, I believe, at least, with Aaron Rodgers. Maybe 3, but at least 2. And 2 years is a long time. Yes, while I'd rather have a couple younger wide receivers with the advantage of getting them later, in a dynasty startup, I would be fine with drafting Adams as my second drafted player if all the other players that I really liked that were second round worthy and wide receivers were gone. But I'm very, very okay with building a team around, let's say, Davante Adams in round 2 and taking Javonte Williams in round 1. I'm okay with that. I could be fine with that. And maybe you like Waddle more than Adams in Dynasty. I don't know, but I could get behind pretty much any of those things. And I just think people need to explore the idea of 2 years, 2.5 years, 2 to 3 years being a long time in Dynasty, because some of your Dynasty leagues will crumble within the second year. You know, if you don't know the people well, it could crumble. Let's hit the voicemails here while we finish the rest of this. We've got Davante Adams covered here. The Green Bay running backs are next. Aaron Jones is due, I believe it's like 14 to 17 million, somewhere in that ballpark. I'm not 100%, but he's due 14 to 17 million, 13 million, something like that in 2023. Not talking about this year, this coming year. So if they release him, they save $10 million. I think it's 16. I think it's like 16 million. If they release Aaron Jones next offseason, so he plays one more year, they save $10 million. So you've got to think that if he doesn't have a phenomenal year, like if A.J. Dillon doesn't go down or something and they rely on Aaron Jones and he blows up, you got to think if Aaron Jones struggles at all or is in a timeshare all year long, Aaron Jones will be a casualty next offseason, making A.J. Dillon's season 2023. So think about that in Dynasty right now, especially with A-Rod staying at least 2 years, maybe 4, but maybe only playing 2 or 3 of them. If Aaron Rodgers stays for 2 or 3 years, that might be 2 years that A.J. Dillon plays with Aaron Rodgers. So A.J. Dillon's season potentially in 2023 and beyond. So be real excited about A.J. Dillon. Michael says, wrong. 30 minutes listening to Uranus, Pluto, and Saturn, and there you go back to the moon. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's go to the voice messages while we covered that. Here we go.
What's up, guys? So I've been offered a trade. I have Elijah Mitchell and Keenan Allen, and was offered Debo and Zeke. Question is Is Mitchell going to be what he was this year, next year, or is Zeke really done?
That's so tough, man, because I like Mitchell a lot. I certainly think he could be a late second round worthy kind of guy from a value perspective, even in Dynasty, but especially redraft. However, Shanahan could definitely muddy the waters up there in San Francisco. It's not, I mean, he only used Mitchell. So he has a special loyalty to him. But it was odd because, but everybody got hurt. There were like 6 or 7 running backs on the roster, and every single one of them got hurt. That's tough. Yeah, and Zeke is pretty much on the downswing. So it comes down to Debo versus Keenan Allen and Mitchell. Keenan Allen isn't exactly a spring chicken either. So that's a really tough one because you got to either believe that Debo is going to continue to play at that level that he played last year and weigh that against Keenan Allen getting older. Matt says I'd be out on Zeke, but Debo is nice. What do you guys think of that? So Debo and Zeke Elliott on one side, or Mitchell and Keenan Allen on the other. That's so tough. That's so tough. What do you guys think on that? I'll let the chat help chime in on that because it's a really close call, and it really, really, really depends. Let's see here if we got any breaking news from Shefty and gang. So let's see here. Carson Wentz, Jimmy G talk pretty quickly. The 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's see. Things heated up pretty quickly between 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo as the team fielded several calls about his availability. One obvious team was the Colts. Okay, so there's a potential, according to this report by Ian Rappaport, there's a potential Colts to Jimmy G connection brewing, but we don't really know how serious it is. Linebacker Bobby Wagner was released. That's official, and nothing new apparently on the wire as of this moment. So, Buffoon, that might be the way to go. What did Buffoon say? I'm interested. Go get Debo and try to package Zeke in a deal with another team. That's what I told him, actually, Buffoon. I told him to leave this message because I was a little unsure and I was running on the show. So I told him I'd say I'd take Debo and then I would trade Zeke. So great minds think alike. And there's your answer, pal. You heard it. You heard it from. And then there's the chat. Kenny Power said Eli Mitchell. Or no, John said that. So hopefully that helped you out, pal.
Hey, Smitty.
Oh.
Hey, Smitty. What's going on? It's Tariq. Hey, Smitty. What's going on? It's Tariq. I just want to give you a quick shout out. Thanks so much for the last few days. You've been going on live, giving your fans up to date what's going on in the free agency. My question to you is for today is what's the next domino effect that's going to fall into the quarterback position? Thanks so much.
If it's not Watson after Friday, it'd probably be, I think, Jameis Winston. I don't know if Jimmy G gets traded before Friday. I just don't know. Him getting out of shoulder surgery and all that. It only takes one team, though. One team.
Hey, Schmitty, it's your boy D. Got a dynasty question for you, really, but really it's redraft as well when you think about it. After what Breece Hall just did at the Combine, where are you ranking him in terms of running backs, both in dynasty and in 2022 moving forward? Appreciate it, man. Hope everything is well.
Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker are both kind of tied for my 1A and 1A running backs for this draft class, and I think the landing spot will determine everything. So I think we need to know where the landing spot is, but if we kind of just have to decide now, I'm drafting them in the 3rd and 4th round back to back a lot of times. I don't think that will hold. I think come June, you'll see both Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker, unless one of them lands in an awful spot. One of them should be in a good spot. But if both of them landed in one landed in a great spot, the other landed in a good spot, you're going to see both of them at the top of round 3, I think at the very latest, and one of them might be at the bottom of 2. So right now, my answer is 3rd and 4th round, or double 3rd round picks if you can move your 4th rounder up. I absolutely love Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall together with maybe even ETN in the round after when I go wide receiver. So go wide receiver, then then go Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker and ETN. So I love Hall. Kenneth Walker looks like a monster as well, Matt. They both look absolutely phenomenal. Kenneth Walker led the league in second in the league in yardage, led the entire college football in broken forced missed tackles. Dude's phenomenal. Kenneth Walker is absolutely amazing.
With the quarterbacks reshuffling in the NFC, who do you think the top tier quarterbacks are going to be going into 2022? And do you see Rodgers possibly winning 1 or 2 chips in the next 2 years?
So quarterbacks, obviously, you've got Mahomes second, Allen first, or first, second, however you want to do that. Herbert is now my 3. I think that's going to stand still for a while. All offseason, I think he'll remain my 3. And then you've got Burrow, and then you've got, in my opinion, and I know it's early for a lot of you, and I don't want you to go drafting him this high. I want you to be cautious and careful, but Trey Lance could be the 5th or 6th or 7th quarterback. If Desean Watson is playing, he's right there too. Aaron Rodgers is right there too. So 5, 6, 7 potentially could be Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance, or Trey Lance, Aaron Rodgers, or Watson, Trey Rodgers, or any of that combination. Any of those combination of guys. 75 of you in here. Terry with the super chat. Terry, thank you, good buddy. Javonte will be a top 5 running back, Smitty. You're the man with the best show. Thank you, Terry. And I appreciate you. Terry always dropping the donos, and Terry is a goat around these parts. Terry wearing his The Fantasy Football shirt even in his picture, in his avatar. Man's dedicated to the show, and we love Terry here. Question was, what was the final part of that question?
He's 1 or 2 chips.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers. So, do I think he's going to win 1 or 2 championships in the next 2 years? I think he wins. I think he can win 1. It's not a lock, but he has a really good shot at winning at least 1 championship. I think he's a Final 4 team in the NFC. The remainder, because the NFC's light. It's light. It's easy work. It's light work. You've got the Niners. You've got the Rams, both in the NFC West. Cardinals, depending on Kyler. And then it's the Packers. So you literally are a top 3 team in the NFC every year for the next 2 years. Pretty much guaranteed. Not guaranteed, but pretty good odds, right? So you're a top 3 team. Now, granted, you got to win multiple playoff games, and that's always hard for any team because it's the NFL and anything can happen. But I myself feel like Rodgers is going to be set up to enter 2 NFC championships back-to-back. I think it'll be against the Niners, maybe even 2 years in a row, Niners versus Packers back-to-back. Depending on how the seeding lines up, right? Because they could face each other around before the NFC championship. But that would be amazing. But I think he could win 1. I think there's like a 65-70% chance Rodgers in the next 2 years wins an NFL Super Bowl. I think it just feels like the story, in call it a gut instinct or whatever, but a story that I think is going to help tidy up his legacy. And there will still be people that say he only got 2. But I think he does walk away with 2 championships when he retires. I really do. So maybe 1 in the next 3 years. Let's call it that to be safe. Let's see here. So we got all those questions. I don't know if I answered this most recent one by Nevin.
Hey, Smitty, where does this trade for Russell Wilson affect his stock for 2022 redraft and then Dynasty? And also, what about Jerry Judy?
Yeah, so I think we covered most of that. I've said Russell Wilson's right around. So if you got Rodgers, Trey, and Watson, Russell Wilson's right at the bottom of that, and he can kind of jump up a spot or 2. Like he could be the number 6 quarterback. I think Denver's better than Seattle for him, better defense, offensive line, Javonte Williams. No one can tell me Carson or Penny or any kind of running situation has ever been better than Javonte Williams. If you tell me that, I'm not listening. In one ear and out the other. It's not even close. Did he have better wide receivers? You could argue that. But you could also argue that Judy hasn't had a shot to prove he's better than DK Metcalf. Because Judy hasn't had a quarterback. So maybe Denver does have better wide receivers. We don't know that they don't. We could only say that, could you argue that Seattle's got better wide receivers? Yeah, you could argue that. But you could also argue that because of Javonte Williams, the offense is more potent. The defense is better. The offense will be fresher, be able to move the football down the field, be in better field position, be in scoring position more. So fantasy points might be a whole bunch better in Denver for Russell Wilson than in Seattle, despite maybe the wide receiver crew maybe being lesser. So, and Judy, we talked about that. Top 10 wide receiver potential. Don't sleep on Hamler, but I love Jerry Judy and absolutely can't wait for this to happen. If Gordon comes back, is it 50-50 split or does Javonte get the majority of the work? No one knows for certain how that'll play out, but think of it this way. Okay, you've got a couple things going for you, and literally both things would have to get derailed from my line of thinking for Gordon to ruin the show and rain on the parade. Number one, he's a year older, so that means he's got to play another year older. He's old. He's an older running back. He's a lot of mileage. He's taking years off too. That doesn't help. People think that's good, but that just he held out, came back. He's been hurt. He's been banged up. He's always been banged up. Even when he plays, he's banged up. Melvin Gordon did pretty well last year, but he's another year older. The seasons are one game longer. And the Denver Broncos had nothing to play for at the point in time where everybody's calling for Javonte to go in full time. And we called it from week one, but you couldn't throw him in and waste put miles on the tires when there was nothing to play for. So not only would we have to be wrong about that line of thinking that the Denver Broncos, their approach last year was to keep them fresh. Why run the mileage up when you're not literally going anywhere? And they know how exciting it is. And they'd have to ignore the fact that Russell Wilson would want it, because he's more electric. They'd have to ignore the fact that when he's on the field, better things happen. Breaking tackles like nobody in the NFL can. Him and JT are the best tackle breaking running backs in the NFL. The best 20 and 30 plus yard running backs in the NFL. That's why JT and Javonte are like this. I mean, JT's the 1.1, but Javonte could be the second best running back in the NFL and dance with Javonte on every other week, on occasion. He literally could be the best running back 1 week and JT is for 2 weeks. Javonte's the best running back 1 week. That's the kind of season Javonte could have. These are two of the best running backs at breaking long runs in the NFL, the top two. I believe JT and Javonte will lead the league in 20 and 30 and 40 plus yard runs. One of them might own it over the other, but these are those running backs. They might lead the league in touchdowns together, like 1 and 2. In total yards, I mean, anybody could step in there, but these two running backs are the two best running backs in the league. Why don't we talk about next show? Actually, I might create a video on this tonight or tomorrow on trying to build the two-headed monster again, which is never a great approach, or not always it's not been a great approach lately because McCaffrey's so unreliable. Why not build the two-headed monster with JT and Javonte Williams in 2022? Why not build a team around that, do it in an auction, and see if we can get enough wide receivers that we like for $2, $5, $3. And sometimes when you do a draft like that, I mean, think about it. If you've done an auction draft where everybody overspends, and if you especially kickstart some overspending by drafting both of these two studs who are going to go early and get called out early, and the price tags are going to be high, can you imagine walking out of your draft and everybody spends their money, and for $1 and $2, you're scooping up receivers that you have no business owning for $1? That happens if you do that. If you walk into a draft that unexpectedly overspends, you always watch that one guy who has no money left and he's scooping up amazing quarterbacks and wide receivers, and you're like, good God, why didn't somebody bid on that guy? He's got literally, I mean, it could be Mike Williams for $2. You know, you get like 3 Mike Williams players to go with Javonte and with JT, and then somehow, some way, you land a quarterback that's worthy of top 10 potential. JT and Javonte Williams. Let me do a video on the two-headed monster. Let's bring the two-headed monster back. I wonder if we could afford Trey, JT, and Javonte and then go dollar wide receivers. Let's do a video on it. Let's talk about it. Trey Lance, JT, and Javonte Williams and dollar wide receivers. I like the idea. I think it could be phenomenal. In fact, I'm really excited about this strategy because it's been one of my most talked about strategies in years past when you had 2 dominant running backs. This dates back to Tomlinson. This dates back to Marshall Faulk days. The two-headed monster, the three-headed monster was something that I loved and kind of, I want to say I coined it about 20 years ago in the business. I don't know that anybody called it that, but the two-headed monster, look, no one's as crazy as me, okay? So if someone says that they were out there pushing the two-headed monster, tell me somebody that does draft pick trading videos that actually can account for somebody saying that they did that. I have draft pick trading videos that describe this aggressiveness. You have to be one aggressive mofo to have the number 1 and number 2 overall pick in your draft, or in an auction blow your wad on 2 players. This is a strategy I've deployed for 20 years. It's been dormant for about a year and a half. The Christian McCaffrey injuries really put it to bed, but now it's back, baby. Now it's back. I like it. Let's do it. Let's do a video tonight or tomorrow. Two-headed monster is back, and that might even be what I call the video. The two-headed monster is back. Let's go. What round would you draft Jerry Judy and Russell Wilson? Because I plan drafting one of them. I don't know yet. Let's see if Judy falls to like the 5th or 6th round in ADP data, and then go from there. I don't really know where he's going to go. Russell Wilson, I think it's more about, does he go as the 6th or 7th or 8th best quarterback taken? I don't know about exact ADP yet because every league's different. Quarterbacks could go in round 5, a lot of them, or they could go literally in 7 and 8. And I could see Russell Wilson fall into 7 or 8, and that would be great value. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't. Appreciate all of you. Hit the subscribe button if you're new. If you're new, subscribe to this channel. It's your new home. And if you haven't hit that thumbs up button and you're still in here, please pulverize it for me. And as always, I will respond to every single comment for the next 12 to 24 hours. So if I missed a question, or you think of one later, or you just want to say hi to me, just leave a comment or a question in the comments, not in the live chat. I'm talking about when the video ends. Go to the channel, click on the comments, leave me a piece of engagement, will you? And get on over to sleeperu.com and order your text service and your lifetime content, so you never pay for rankings and bold predictions and all the video courses I have. You buy it once, never pay again, and get 2 years on my top level lifetime membership plan. Get 2 years of one-on-one text advice with me, your man Smitty. Appreciate every one of you. See you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, unless we have an emergency live stream or I end up having to go live even tonight. And I'll be probably on Instagram a little later, as always, doing a live. Appreciate you all. Thank you again, Terry. Thank you all. Until tomorrow, or until an emergency live.